Hey guys, it's Matt. Let me show you what I was going over. I'll just get this out of the way now because it's kind of clumsy. Um, this is a John Hopkins exercise from 2017. And this one, like we talk about Event 201, which to me I hear 2001 again. I think that's the one with Melvin P. Um, and then there were others. One was called Clade X, one was called Crimson Contagion, and now there's another that was predictive, 2017, called Spars, which of course you saw the imagery. I'll talk about this, but this is not the main. This isn't the reason for this video at all. I just wanted to show you that so when I reference it later, you'll know what I'm talking about. Um, this reality is expert at basically stalling time or stalling the century or getting you to think if we just wait a little bit longer that this will happen or that will happen. So let me just start with what's obvious, what will be obvious to you. I think as I explain, how this reality does business in this regard, related to the C thing that we're going through now, and I'll tell you why I'm talking about this and relate it back into a bigger topic. So to start with the absolute basics, I was thinking about doing a revised. If you're lost about what I just said, um, in a number of different topics, it will get you excited that we're almost there. Like my uncle in a conversation to me many years ago actually told me, if we could just get a few more seats in the House or the Senate, this could change, or we just need to win a few more elections. It dangles these carrots in every single area and gets people to think, oh, we're so close. And that's what it's expert at stalling out time. Or this relates back to my stalled century theory. Okay, so if you're not following me at all, let me start with the absolute basics. I was thinking of making another prediction video, which is I was just going over that 70-page report, the John Hopkins whole scenarios played out over 40 pages. Their scenario is the time period 2025 to 2028. Of course, it's exactly what's playing out now. We have Crimson Contagion. That was an exercise that was predictive in nature. Clade X was an exercise with this group and that group and CDC and HHS, and that was predictive in nature using the exact terms, novel, C, V, the same exact terms we're using now or in this predictive nature of these things. Then we had the most famous one that this community's talked about is it's Melvin P. Connie, close the gate. Melvin P. He doesn't deserve for me to use its full name. Um, that's the most famous one in terms of the predictive nature. They just ran that a few months before the whole thing just went down in 2019. Anyway, that's not the point. The point was I'm thinking of revising my prediction video. Okay. Well, I made a prediction video about a year ago. I'm not going to revisit that. Maybe 80% was correct, 20% was wrong. I'll talk about that some other time. I think, what's the next step of the prediction video? And then it hit me. And I went, this is absolutely the wrong thing to do. First off, I'll return to that notion in a second. But first off, it cannot be predicted at this point, in my opinion. They have a certain outcome, dark, creepy, whatever their final outcome is. And I'm sure, if you were in that back room where Jared serves, they're thrilled about what they've been able to. They're ahead. In this case, they are ahead of schedule, in my opinion. If you lived in the Northeast, I know there's been some good news, some pockets of people saying I went to a baseball game and it looked like a baseball game, wasn't full of masks. And if there's little pockets around the United States, then that's wonderful. And I wish I was in your area. But the Northeast here, California, liberal bastions, probably like Seattle and places like. I mean, it's just. I'm sure it's all the same in these liberal bastions like where I am outside of Philadelphia. You go to a Target, you go to a Walmart, you go anywhere public, it's 100% mask. Not a few people without. It's 100% mask compliance is I'm still smack in the middle of it here in blue state hell. So the point was they have a certain outcome that they want, and I think they're very pleased with themselves as to where be able to push this country and the entire world. But I don't think they exactly know what the next step will be. They know the outcome, but see, the Whopper computer, the sentient world simulation, or whatever, it probably at this point making decisions on the fly. But the point here is no matter what the final outcome is designed to be, that relates back to a prediction video that I don't want to make. The point that became so clear to me is I was like, oh my gosh, it's doing it again to us. It's doing what it always does and doing it in another area related to just, if we just wait a little bit longer, or stalled century, or dangling the carrot, or things that are promised that are never delivered. And like they're playing that same the same techniques out with what's going on with CV. So what's much more appropriate than making another prediction video, and I guess I didn't complete my thought. I don't think you can really make another prediction video because it's actually, I think it's whatever comes out of the Whopper computer or the world simulation to push towards its ultimate outcome. It's probably changing up strategies weekly. So who knows what's coming and what the Northeast may look like. Washington, D.C., through Tom Brady land up through Boston and Portland, Maine might look completely different than your part of the world in Idaho or South Dakota or something like that. I think they realize they're not going to be able to get everybody to the ultimate level they want to get them to, but they have a much better chance for the mid-Atlantic states, the I-95 corridor, D.C. up through Maine, California, liberal hellhole bastions, you know what I mean. So I thought the reason making a prediction is really the worst thing to do, and I'm not going to do it anymore. And again, one, because it can't be really predicted, but two, it's the mindset that it creates. A prediction video creates that mindset of waiting on it. This is the heart of the message I want to get across in this video. Waiting on it. The absolute worst thing you can do is waiting on it. Waiting for bars and restaurants to open up, or waiting for some good news. This is exactly related to the video I made a year ago, where I'm going to try to take a little bit farther in this video. You might remember about a year ago, I said you have to make plans for yourself and move forward. It's the reality itself using its minions. Let me just talk in a general sense here about what it does. It's Geico. What it does, its very nature, is designed to when people get restless or people start to doubt, it will push forward some good news. So you it'll come to you and basically make its pitch through its news media and its social media and its tweets and its news headlines that, oh, if you just we're close, if you just wait a little bit longer, things will it'll go your way. This relates back to, and I don't know if I'm saying this very well, but I think you'll understand where I'm going in just a minute. It gets back to my uncle years ago being convinced that we just get a few more seats, or if another Supreme Court nominee, things will go our way. Both sides are convinced of this. It's related to this stalling of time or stalled century. I don't want to make it too into some very strange mystical metaphysical discussion. I'm talking about its basic ABC blocking and tackling tactics. So I just wrote a few things down. It does this with space. Every single president from Reagan on has promised manned missions back to the moon and go see Matt Damon on Mars. Every president past Reagan, I think, has promised Mars or mentioned it. It's just continual promises where nothing is ever delivered. Now, we see this, why your Aunt Ginny or the person down the cul-de-sac can't finally go, well, wait, if they've promised whatever for this long and it's never delivered, something else is going on here. But it's this reality through its minions is expert at getting people to think we're so close. And it's doing it now using all of whatever information and data has gone into its sentient world simulation, or whatever. It's doing it now incredibly well using the C narrative. So in space, Oh, we're close. That's Elon Musk is, ooh, through this guy, we're going to get there. Oh, another capsule blew up. I think something blew up a few months ago. Oh, well, they have a setback. Oh, but eventually we're going to get there. We're going to see Matt Damon. It does this with politics and people like my uncle, believing we're just a few elections away from winning. Both sides think that. It's expert and it's inhuman how it pulls this off. We'll leave C for the last bit here. Energy. I'm sure if you look up, you'll find articles about free energy and how they're going to do this and that, and just never comes. It's always there though. We're just probably just a few years away. People are convinced of this. Cures. Nothing ever changes. Every October, it's the same pink in the stands in the NFL. There's no cures to anything. But I'm sure if you look into it, the reality will deliver the breadcrumbs that you need to see to believe that we're close. Oh, this type of new type of therapy is going to lead to this and that. I guarantee. I haven't spent 1 second on this, but all the good news will be there as to how these cures are just right around the corner. It's stalled century. Nothing is ever delivered. Almost like they need consciousness to be waiting on these things to stall out time itself for some. Maybe we will get weird at the end of this video, like they need this to remain in power. I don't know. I'm just floating it. But their tactics are always the same. Brexit, you know, and again, I have no idea, guys, what's going on with Brexit. I don't care to know. Please don't even comment. Don't waste a comment. I don't. I don't. There could be an announcement. Somebody could be saying to me, "Matt, Brexit went through. What's changed in your life?" Nothing went through. Nothing happened. It all was. Maybe Brexit was something they couldn't stall out for 100 years. People would maybe catch on, but they stalled it out to a ridiculous degree, using ludicrous nonsense, saying there's so much work that needs to be done. But regulatory agencies have to compare notes, and this year after, and people are like, "Yeah, it just takes years." If anything were real about it, I think the UK could have probably got out in 6 months. There's a few things to do, I'm sure, but it was designed to dangle something and then to stall it out and to get you to wait and to say it's going to be delayed. It was designed to put people in that mindset. It was designed to put mass consciousness into that mindset of wait. Oh, we're close. I don't care if Brexit has officially gone through now. It was all fake to begin with. What happened? How's your life any different? It's not. It was all, but it's millions upon tens of millions of people were in a mindset that this is good news that I have to wait for. Somehow reality needs this to do business. All right, maybe it keeps these creeps in power. Not creeps like Melvin P. Melvin P. is a minion. He is a water bucket carrying minion. He is not, he might serve with Jared, with the T set. He's just there's no power there in a clown like that, in my opinion. It's all my opinion. Afghanistan and Iraq. How many years, even when President Barack Obama came in, and millions of his supporters were, I'm sure, guys, I'm old enough to remember all this, were saying, finally we can get, the troops out, and they were showing on the news under George. The whole thing, guys, is a contrived script. Don't ever think that if I'm talking about something that happened, it's all real or anything. No, none of it's all a script. I don't know how it's inhumanly planned and laid out. Who knows how they pull this off with what reality buttons and levers? But Barack Obama gets in, and millions of left supporters. I remember, we're finally going to get our troops home. See, under George W. Bush, they'd show the death count. It was so horrible of what's going on in Iraq and Afghanistan. They'd every night this many more were killed, and the death count is now in the thousands. And it's so horrible what this Republican president is doing. And then Barack Obama, and it was like the number of troops went up, and where were all the people? Why didn't they get on him? It's like they got a firmware update, and then what Barack Obama is doing now is just, Matt. It's just, and it's the right thing to do, like the Quaker Oats guy. See, Bush was doing it all wrong. Oh, the savior is doing it right. I don't know how they justified it. It's completely insane. to us. But they did it with Afghanistan and Iraq. Just wait, just stalled century. We're finding more evidence here of stalled century. We could do this all day long, but let's get but back into C. They're running all that they've learned through stalling out everything else. They're applying to C, where just when you have your group of downloaded zombies that are probably going to go along with everything, and then you have people like us that see pretty clearly, but probably have millions of people in the middle that aren't completely on the download. There has to be some gray area between us and the person like my father, who the first day the Carl Weathers movie was available to rent in Florida, the Blockbusters all reopened for the day. The Action Jackson Nation, with the emphasis on the last part of that word. The first day it was available, he was dialing up, dialing for dollars. He was calling, busy, beep, 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 call, beep, 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 beep. And then he wanted me to call. I've told you, Matt, will you make this phone call? Then we have two people trying to get in. He wanted it so bad. I mean, you have people like that, and they're gonna just constantly get their my favorite Martian. The antenna's going to go up, and they're going to get their download or firmware update. Nothing we can do. But there's got to be a lot of people in the middle, maybe millions, maybe tens of millions, that just see something. My mom can act like a complete normie, but then sometimes she doesn't, because she's generally, I would say, on the download too. But she's very smart, which I know has nothing to do with it. Valedictorian of her high school, blah blah blah, nothing. But she's a huge reader. She's read these mind-opening. She's read Castaneda and Don Juan and all this stuff, and she's investigated this and that's. So she's open. My dad is. I don't know. Has he ever read a book? It's like completely two different people. That's why they were together about 10 minutes before they divorced. Um, but my mom, every once in a while, like, she's frustrated now with the C thing. She's like, "It's ruining my life. Oh, I've got to wear a mask." But she thinks it's necessary, and we have to do this. But it's like she shows it's just frustration and anger. So she's not somebody I would say is in the middle on this. But the point of but millions of people, when they get restless, see, what it'll do is it'll deliver good news. The sentient world simulation will spit out ticker tape, um, big pockets of people, even in the Northeast, even in the blue zombie state, Fear the Walking Dead, that area, they're getting restless. So give them some good news, and then put it on the local news. Oh, these bars and restaurants are opening up in Philly, or this curve is going down a little bit, and oh, now what that does is it continues with the stalled century, but it creates the mindset of, okay, we're with even with us to a degree, many people here, of, okay, we're close, okay, we just have a few more months to wait. And then, okay, gives good news. We're not going to change our lives. We're just going to wait it out. Now, I'm not this is with maybe people in these gray area, all right, that are getting restless. A complete normie um, would never get restless. They would go along till the end with whatever the government said to do, no matter how ridiculous. Okay, I'm not talking about that group, but they'll deliver the good news. Now, when these people hear the good news, then it puts you in a wait and see mindset. And this is exactly the absolute wrong mindset to have. It's a depression mindset, because they will never deliver. Unless people simply move on with their lives themselves. It will never deliver the real world again, as long as people are relying on it to deliver. So a year ago, and this is an expansion of what I said a year ago, was it once I said, I think I made a whole video out of this, but basically I said, just waiting on this is the worst thing in the world to do. I kind of sensed it. And it's even more important now from a depression standpoint. Write down every goal, plan that you can. It doesn't have to be a physical thing. Like I say, if the Northeast is still in this ridiculous situation, approaching the next eclipse, I'll do this as long as I can. The next eclipse is April of 2024. That's like the back bookend of their 7-year tribulation between eclipses, or whatever they're trying to play out, biblical tribulation between these 7 years. There's weird, creepy stuff going on like that. I was like, if this is still going on, then or going towards the eclipse, then I'm done. I have to find at least a pocket of the United States, if not a little pocket of the world, where people look to me look normal. And I will, I'm attached to the house. I've been here 20 years. When you've put so much sweat equity into it, and so much, you've worked on it with your father and this and that. I call him the normie, but he is my father. Okay, I love him, whatever. But he is the classic normie. So, I don't, he doesn't watch my videos, and so I don't think that's completely disrespectful, because he does. The first day he's trying to call up and rent the movie. The first day, just constantly dialing. That's the ultimate normie to me. Sorry, I'm just being honest. He is who he is. I still love him, but I've done all sorts of work here with him, so I'm attached to the house. I don't want to leave the house and just go live in northern, whatever, North Dakota somewhere, and but if I have to, I have to. We have to make these sorts of plans, and it doesn't have to be a physical thing where I'm going to have move somewhere. It can be, where do you want to be personally? Whatever you do, the mindset has to be you in every way moving forward with your life, and noticing, more importantly, noticing the tendencies of wanting to the John Mayer song, need to talk about waiting on the world to change. Whenever you notice a tendency where you're waiting on the world to change, you have to notice that tendency and just push right through it. The best example, or the example we've all probably succumbed to over the last year, was, even if you don't watch the local news, it's on it when you're getting your brakes done or whatever. Oh, the curve is going down a little bit here, and this is going to reopen, and NASCAR is now allowing 30% occupancy. What the heck? There's my phone's beeping or something. Must be like a Amber Alert, or it could be a weather alert. Um, Sorry, very distracting. Um, NASCAR. Oh, you walk by and you're getting some good news. NASCAR is allowing, or the NBA, Major League Baseball is allowing some fans back, and even us. If you for a second, oh, that's good news. That is a waiting on the world to change mindset. That just can't happen. It should be like, I don't care. I'm not, that doesn't affect me. Isn't that good news, Matt? No, I don't care one bit, because it's all games. It's all games. They have to offer up the good news to the group in the middle that will get a little restless. They have to offer up the good news. Then that puts millions and millions of people in a wait mindset. My mother, oh, okay, some good news here, just a few more months, just a few more months. It's no different than how they do the cures. Nothing's ever delivered. How they did Brexit. Eventually, probably, we've talked about Brexit. Afghanistan, Iraq, space. Oh, we're so close. So it's a stalled century mindset. So have to be like Mercutio in Romeo and Juliet. Is it Mercutio, Romeo's friend? Yeah, I like the Leonardo DiCaprio remake. Uses the exact verbiage, an iambic pentameter or whatever, from Romeo and Juliet. Mercutio just, here comes Tybalt, and Benvolio or whatever. He's all scared of Tybalt, and he just leans back and he's like, puts his feet up on. He's like, by my heel, I care not. So you have to have that attitude. Matt, look, there's good news. One of your friends there's even concerts. So we're gonna, outdoor concerts. We can go, and by my heel, I care not. This does not affect where I'm taking myself, even physically, or what your plans are going to be, or it just you can't. That's why you cannot care one bit. Of course, we don't, all the bad news that they put on the news, we want to avoid that. But would we say the same about the good news? Do we want to avoid that? I'm saying mentally, we should avoid all of it. It is, and it's very hard to do this, and it takes work, and it takes a lot of practice. It's like, where I want to be, or where I'm going. I'm not waiting on any of this stuff anymore. And like, it doesn't mean that you have to have these grandiose plans or whatever. It can be just personal goals. I mean, what am I gonna? I'm here with 4 cats. I'm not going anywhere. What is that? Doesn't mean I'm gonna be, king of Saib or whatever. I'm gonna have these huge plans. Just like, no. I'm not waiting. At the very minimum, I'm not waiting on it anymore. And there's some good news. I don't care. I don't even want to know. It's all a big manipulation, because the good news is how they get people to go back in the wait and see mode. I guess I've said that pretty clearly at this point. So, guys, when I was thinking about this and thinking this is a prediction video, um, is the worst thing in the world to do, because it's completely the mindset of when will it ease up, or I'm not doing it, and it can't be done anyway. The things, they're just probably changing up what they pull on the fly. So then I thought this is completely related to the John Mayer song, "Waiting on the World to Change," just waiting on the world to change, versus the message, the underlying metaphysical message. There's always a good, not always, but in a lot of the dark stuff, there's a good message. Like, well, waiting on the world to change. That's what everybody's doing now, and with all these other things, cures, space, waiting on the world to do this for them, for that for them. That's the opposite of worry about yourself. It says take care of yourself. So John Mayer, he's not doing anybody any favors. He's not this good champion. He's as creepy as it gets. John Mayer. He's not at Gaga level, but he's as creepy as it gets. He's not trying to help us. Why this truth has to come out, and it's not even a truth drop. To me, a truth drop's like subtle, like, oh, is this what's being said at the end of Jumanji? It's something we might recognize that others wouldn't. It's a song speaking in some, with a carrier wave, where Vanessa VA would think this song speaking to your spiritual self or your higher self, where the person down the cul-de-sac listening would just hear a breakup song with, they wouldn't hear that what's really embedded in there. So I don't, John Mayer's not doing anybody any favors. This message comes out. Let's say it's not a truth drop, because truth drops are subtle. Like, look deep within yourself, Clarice. You Out of 100 million people watching that movie, like 10 people might take away, what we would take away. That, oh, there's a deeper, potentially deeper hidden message there. They would just what Hannibal said. It just has to do with your self storage. That's all they would see. So John Mayer is song "Waiting on the World to Change" is not a truth drop, in my opinion, because it just blatantly talks about the evil at play in the world. It's blatant. I don't know what you call that, a truth cinder block. And there's a lot of songs and art that are just, it's just an outright objection to the way the world is running. The new the Pink Floyd. Is it Roger Waters? Who's the guy that's left? Oh, he's still the evil system, and he will just seem like such a champion for the little guy. He's as fooled and as played and as a puppet of the system as anybody else. So if John Mayer, whether they had to tell the truth in a through a creepy bloke like John Mayer, or John Mayer really believes he's trying to help people wake up. He even says a big billboard in the video, "Waiting on the World to Change." It says "Wake up," but even if he believes he's trying to help, a creepy bloke like that is absolutely 100% of his actions benefit the system itself. You just would never get to that level of fame and popularity. Again, all the statements and political statements that Roger Waters is making, if he's the guy that's left in Pink Floyd, in the most recent concert video, which is just about 2 years old, which I love the music, of course. But he's not, he might believe he's trying to help, but the system is laughing all the way to the bank. He's being used. They all are being used in terms of creepy stuff. Like, what was it? Was it Bob Dylan that came out with that 10 or 12 minute song about Kennedy and all that stuff? It's again, whether they're in on it or not, it really doesn't matter. They're all being used. You wouldn't get to that level. Um, Even the George Carlin, if he really was trying to, buck the system and get some people to wake up, that would have never seen the light of day if it really exposed anything. And whether, I've said a few times that I'm not sending his grave any roses for what he did. I mean, to me, it could easily just have been a deception. It's a big club, and you're not in it. Well, there's a deception right there. It's not a big club at all, in my opinion. If you look behind these obvious clown minions like Melvin P and Zuck the Borg, um, the group is probably incredibly, incredibly, incredibly tiny. That's why when they put forth Occupy Wall Street, the 99% versus the 1%, 1% on 300 million people, it's not 1%, and it's one half of one half of one half of one half of 1%. The people that could sit around a room and Jared could serve them all. That's who runs the world in my opinion. Even that's not, the buck doesn't stop there. In my opinion, they serve a greater reality that is somehow acts. They anybody that could get served by Jared, in my opinion, is a minion of some kind, not the ultimate. There's the reality itself works in supernatural ways that you know even the people even the people we call minions, in my opinion, I've said recently, are can be many of the minions, even at the high levels, believe, like Melvin P. They're more fooled than you and I, in my opinion. We think they have this insider knowledge and they're in the back room, and Matt, they're privy to everything. They're more played, in my opinion, more fooled. Maybe that 1% of half of 1% of it, the creepy group related to families and bloodlines and whatever. Okay, they know more than us, of course, but they're still a minion of the reality itself is out to accomplish, in my opinion, which is, it's less than a half page. It's just to simply hide a human being from what it really is. It's that simple. I said ultimately it's going to all that. My book is 700 and some pages, but the real summary of everything can be narrowed down to a half a page. No, it could be narrowed down to like 3 sentences. You know, it's the whole world is just one gigantic deception and trick, to keep real human beings from understanding who they really are. And the more you attach to this place and root to it and give it attention, the more you choose to walk yourself away from who you really are. It's 2 sentences. It's really that simple. Well, Matt, that leaves you without a channel. Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, it's fascinating. I hope we will investigate step 2 and now continue to do. Not everybody is at the graduation level. Remember, if a million people graduate and go worry about themselves, worry about yourself. If then there's another million people. See, the million people graduate from high school, and then another million come into the high school. So maybe I'm there for them. I hope you stick with me. But yeah, they don't want you to get it down to 2 sentences, and that's it. You know, that's it. Um, Even I mean, she's going to get on me. I'm going to mention this because a friend of mine is she's saying, Matt, explore this Buddhism, and I'm going to keep my mind open to it. I'm not going to become a Buddhist or anything like that. I'm going to learn from it because I really was rather ignorant on it. And understand this whole endless cycle of samsara and endless cycle of reincarnations. But even some, I have issues every few pages in this book where it's talking about. I'll read a section in the Introduction to Buddhism book that'll talk about, Matt, the whole world is like, what you would say, if it was talking to me, this book, like it's designed to be constant attachment, constant deception, constant getting people to equate their self-worth to this and they call them delusions. And something like there's 80 some thousand, but here's the part I didn't like, is like there's 80 some thousand delusions, and then there's 80 some thousands remedies. There's another, my phone's beeping again. 80,000 remedies to the 80,000 delusions. Like, that's not that complicated. You just have to understand the highest level, back up far enough out of the snow globe. The whole thing is a delusion. You don't need 80,000 specific remedies to 80,000 delusions. I don't know exactly what it said, but I didn't really love what I was reading. No, it's not. It's much more simple than that. It's just, it's just about finding yourself, which is pretty easy to do once you understand what this whole reality and world's trying to do to you. Anyway, talk more about that later. But you watch the John Mayer Waiting on the World to Change, and I was thinking in making this video, yeah, that's the worst thing to do mentally. and it'll and people that are waiting on the world to change or this sea situation to change, then the group that gets restless, that's when it floats good news. When you hear good news, it puts you into it. Then you'll give it another 2 or 3 more 4 months. Oh, I'll wait it out a little longer because the news is getting good. It's expert at that. That's the main part of this video and what I wanted to present here, but related to some real big topics too. I don't know exactly how it's related. I think it's related to stalled century and how Levitt talks about them completely manipulating time. If you have a group of real consciousness that's just in a stalled situation waiting, then you can create this. You can move reality off to the side in some weird time that doesn't go anywhere. Stalled century. Just talk more about that. But I thought the way John Mayer, the song put it, "Waiting on the World to Change," that's I said that the song title. It's exactly the mindset that this thing has us in now, and the worst mindset in the world for what we should be. We should have. We should not be in that mindset going through what we're going through now. By my heel, I care not about any sort of news, good or bad. I'm doing this. All right, that's the only way to be. But the point is, and I'll wrap this up. I thought, okay, I know the song really well. It's not a truth job. It just blatantly complains about the evil players in the world. I said, I've never seen the official video. Is there official video? Oh, there's an official video in Vimeo or whatever it is. And I thought, and I just, there's going to be all sorts of stuff in this video, like the Sade video I covered a few years ago, where she's up on top of the skyscraper. It's not No Ordinary Love. It's not Kiss of Life. Maybe it is Kiss of Life. I don't know. She's dancing with a guitar on top of the. I covered it a few years ago. Just riddled with predictive, the WTC and just all sorts of stuff. So I'm loading up this John Mayer and I'm going. I just know there's going to be, and of course it didn't let me down. It's mostly featuring these graffiti artists, and what the graffiti artists, they have to protect themselves from spray paint. So of course they're not just in masks; they're in full respirators, like you know, constant shots of them in respirators. One guy has a Mexican wrestling mask that he pulls down. And there's a few other things. There's he's walking from Brooklyn, where the WTC would be. It's no longer there. That shot is completely on purpose. In the beginning is a shot directly at the United Nations. That shot from Brooklyn is very similar to where Akeem, on his first date with Lisa, gave the money to Randolph and Mortimer, and they said from Trading Places before they had dinner. I have a date with Lisa tonight. Isn't that wonderful? But there he stops, and I mean he doesn't stop, but as they're walking, he just completely just stares up at the the WTC, and how that stuff is that's sort of that's not the greatest example in the world of the predictive nature, but it is fascinating to talk about how many examples we have now of that. We go back and forth between less filling and tastes great, planted by people with faxes and phone calls, or flows through the art naturally and channeled. Planted by people with faxes and phone calls, or flows through the art via channeled by Seth. It's both, but it is a fascinating topic. But so John Mayer's right there. So there's all sorts of stuff. I'm not going to leave a link, guys. It's just you find John Mayer waiting on the world to change, from the album Continuum. Other Truth drops big time in that record as well. And has John Mayer has he been in the back room where Jared serves? Jared doesn't serve anymore. He's back on his home planet after the election that didn't take place. Nobody's seen him. Have you seen him? You'd see him. You people up in Greenwich Village or whatever, you'd see him all over the place. And there's people listening to this. I'm sure they hang out with Ivanka all the time. He's gone, man. He's back. He's back on his home planet. He left. But I don't know who's serving now. But I'm sure they got somebody serving. Maybe Melvin P. Melvin P. might serve when he's not playing his role, pushing pushing the Jacksonation. All right, guys. That's the message. That look how, I guess, notice how in every single area, politics, space, sea, energy, cures for disease, Brexit, Afghanistan, Iraq, this list could go on and on. Look how its entire trick is about just getting people to think we're close. Just give it just another year, and we'll rout out the Taliban. And even the liberals. Oh, okay, we'll give our Lord and Savior Barack another year because he's going to do it right. And George W. That was evil, but Barack's doing the exact same thing, but that's good. Atlantic magazine readers somehow justified that. But anyway, guys, I guess that's long-winded enough. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon.